So welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, to another episode of POP. Usually I can do this in one take, but then...
It's tough. Tough. All right, take two.
Okay. Welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, to another episode of PLP Talks, where we have interesting conversations with interesting bikey people. We've had some awesome guests so far. We just spoke with Whitney Ford Terry talking about bike packing and land art. We've had Martina Broomer here from Swift Industries, Benedict, aka Ultra Romance, his partner Nam. So lots of really fascinating guests, and today is no different. We've got probably one of the most enigmatic, I'd say, personas in the contemporary cycling scene, and that is Matt from Crest Bikes, and we're going to talk about how he started it, why he started it, and just other things. So without further ado, let's welcome Matt from Crest Bikes. So,
thanks, Ross. Happy to be here. I actually postponed an interview with Oprah Winfrey for this, so I'm psyched to be here.
Yes. So let's start off. Like, why, from the very beginning, why did you want to start Crest Bikes?
Just because there wasn't a bike I wanted in the production world. So I was touring in Nepal with my friend Goat at the time, and I had a modified Surly cross check that I'd like put a 1x1 fork on and put a 3-inch tire in the front and as wide a tire as I could fit in the rear. And I had like changed the dropouts to accommodate a roll off and stuff. So it was basically a completely different bike. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this would be a sick bike if it was different. So then when I was on that tour, I came up with the Evasion and started like messaging people from my iPod Touch. I didn't have a phone at the time, whenever I could find Wi-Fi. And yeah, by the time that trip was over, Crust was kind of in motion.
Wow.
And then it snowballed into the shit show it is now.
So for those who aren't familiar with your bike style, or just describe the Evasion and what you added to it that was kind of lacking in the industry at the time.
So the Evasion it's basically like a randonneur style bike. It's not low trail, it's mid trail, but it has all the rack like braze-ons, and it's just a standard triangle. There's not like a load of standover like a lot of the bikes back then were doing, and it wasn't suspension corrected like most bikes back then were. Mm-hmm. And it can fit a 3-inch wide tire in 26 platform. Yeah. Or a 27 tire for whatever you want, really. Yeah. So yeah, nothing at the time, nothing like that existed.
Yeah.
So and that's what I wanted.
So has it become kind of like your playground for bikes that you wish existed and no one's creating?
Yeah, pretty much. All bikes that my friends want. So most bikes have been there's zero compromise in them for what I or one of my friends wants. So the Scapegoat's like Goat's signature bike, and it's exactly what he wants with all his eccentricities. And then the Romancer is the same, and we all know Poppy's pretty out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Evasion's like my brainchild, and then the Dreamer frame is Darren, my friend who makes the US made stuff. That's kind of his brainchild, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. All the bikes I really like, and everyone's all the different people involved in like getting their dream bike makes it fun as well.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that's really kind of I think fascinating me about Crust is like I've always had kind of drunken conversations with friends, and we do our own bike designs, but it would kind of end at that like back of the envelope drawing. But it seems like you're fulfilling like a lot of these interesting bike desires.
Yeah, so it's basically what keeps it fun for me is like just constantly doing new things. The rest of the side of the business I could do without, to be honest. I guess you got to do the crappy stuff with the fun stuff. That's any job. So
yeah,
yeah, it's been a wild ride. I definitely jumped in the deep end.
Yeah. So how does one start a bike brand from scratch?
Get an iPod Touch and some crappy Wi-Fi in Nepal. You'll be good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get like it just kind of it fell into place. Like it's obviously had major headaches, and it's been a severe life adjustment for me because now I used to just travel all the time, and now I'm shackled to this thing. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. If you want something, you just make it happen, really.
Yeah.
I had a lot of good friends. Some friends in Australia, Rick and Emily, they helped me with like the art logos because I can't do any of that stuff personally. I just tell them what I want and they do it and then add to it. So that's helped a lot. Darren, obviously, with the frame building, and he did like all the tech drawings for me. Goat sporadically stops by and like picks me out of my slum. And then, yeah, like Poppy's help. It's just been like a bunch of people like kind of helping me out, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
All the negative side, like I bitch and moan all the time, but that's just my personality. Like it's pretty unbelievable that it's come this far, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge?
Just staying on top of everything at the moment. Like I'm just a rat on a treadmill. So basically, like Crust is just me for like the daily runnings. And that involves a lot. There's a lot of shipping. There's a lot of back and forth with manufacturers in Taiwan, and a lot of there's so many back and forth emails. And I don't ever stay ahead. Like I'll come in, work 12 hours, and I'm still like the inbox is exactly the same. I'm like, or more. I'm like, what the hell has just happened? Like, what am I doing all day? Like, I think I'm just like the most inefficient person on earth. So I focus on trying to be efficient, and I'm like, nothing changes. Like, it doesn't. I just need. Yeah, I don't know. That's the biggest problem. I can never stay on top of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of gives some anxiety, but. Yeah, so like I think I've got 8 different models at the moment, and it's like a one-man show, so it's pretty hard to stay on top of stuff.
Yeah, out of all the bikes and frames that you offer, what are like the top 2 or 3 that sell the best?
The best sellers would be the probably the Evasion and the Romancer. I don't know. That's just because that's what I have in stock most of the time, I guess. It's really hard to keep stock as well because there's big lead times, and I don't have a bank balance really to pay for stuff half the time. That's another problem. Yeah. But they're probably the popular frames.
Yeah. So have you been, I guess, surprised at how the bikes have been received?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just surprised that people heard about it, I guess. I'm pretty confident of all the designs. I knew that if people wrote them, they'd be into them. But that's not even like a 5% of the battle, because there's so much stuff out there now. Just to make people see your stuff is pretty difficult. And then to have people open-minded enough to drop such a large chunk of change on something they've probably never tried before.
Right.
It's also obviously a pretty big demand. Like, if I was going to buy one, I'd never see one. But, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty amazing that people have found it, and I'm really happy with I guess the happiest thing that I enjoy the most is like how it's kind of become like this community of people, and it's pretty like that really spins me out. I'm really happy that happened. That was my goal intentionally. So like not intentionally, but what I wanted to create was like this place where anyone's welcome and there's no judgment, and you can just like meet other people if you don't have anyone to tour with. Because most of the time I used to tour alone, and I was like, it'd be fun to have someone to tour with.
Yeah.
I could never find anyone. So I basically started a company because I had no friends.
That's an expensive way to do it.
And now I'm just these social butterflies. It's worked out great.
So
yeah.
What do you think it is about Crust that attracts these people?
I have no idea, to be honest. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe it's because it's something real. I don't know, because I'm not marketing anything besides myself, I guess. Like everything, like all the Instagram or whatever, it's just whatever's going on in my head. And maybe I don't know if that can translate into over into the digital world, but maybe it does. I don't know. It's authentic. I'm not making anything up. I'm not trying to fit a mold. I'm not trying to do something because I think it's going to sell good. I just do what I want, and maybe people see that's something that's real, and that kind of is rare, I think, in marketing today. It's normally just a bunch of hoopla. So, I don't know. That could be it, but I really don't know. Just to ask other people, I guess.
So most of your marketing has been like just purely through Instagram, or have you tried do other kind of forms of digital or print, or?
Yeah, it's just all Instagram and word of mouth. I've hit like people up to do tests, and some people like write back wanting money to do a test, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a review. That sounds like a paid advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of weird. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just Instagram basically. When Instagram is no longer cool, Crust will basically collapse. I can't figure out how to use Snapchat. It's so confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like what I've heard from most small makers. Surprisingly, like Instagram's been like their best kind of marketing tool, just because it's kind of it's low cost, it's free, but you're still able to reach kind of that tribe of people that would be interested in the same interests.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it's got a lot of negatives as well. Everyone's just staring at their screens all the time and that kind of stuff. But if it's used how social media was intended, I guess, and it's good because you can meet people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Instagram's like the Tinder for cyclists.
Right.
you meet so many people because of it. It's great. So I'm all for it. Even if I wasn't trying to sell stuff, I'd still be into it because of all the people you can meet.
Yeah. We just interviewed Whitney, and she had brought up that point. Like, it's easy to forget that social media is supposed to be social. It's supposed to be a tool where you can find other like-minded people and connect. And I think especially Instagram kind of has, people are trying to monetize it, and it becomes too much of a sales front. So some people do forget that, you can use it to just, reach out to folks and interact.
Yeah. For that, it's really great.
Yeah. So what is, I guess, what would be the best case scenario for Crust?
QVP or Specialized or someone like that just like throws me $1 billion and says we're taking it, and I'll be like, hell yeah, I'm selling out. See you guys later, and I'll take an Evasion and go back to surf touring. That would be the ideal thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna happen. So, I don't know. Hopefully I have no idea, to be honest. I'm just going to keep doing it till I'm sick of it, and then I'm just going to close it.
Yeah.
And go back to living a stress-free life. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really think that far ahead. Yeah, which I probably should. But I don't have my graphs up and stuff in the office.
Well, that's, like with the kind of that scenario that you were just talking about, in some ways it wouldn't be too far-fetched. Because I feel like some larger brands acquire smaller brands if it's like distinct, or if they see enough possibility for that to happen. I think what's kind of interesting about what you're doing is you're making these bikes and you're taking all these risks that like the bigger bike brands are just not going to touch until they see someone do it and be successful, Yeah,
basically, yeah. So then it's kind of weird. The bike industry is a pretty cutthroat place. But I can understand why, like the bigger companies would see what smaller companies are doing, and they'd be like, well, all these smaller companies are succeeding, all the owners are super rich, which obviously I am. So they would just want to get a part of that cash. I'm like, well, you can have it because I'm super rich right now, so take it. Take my side. I don't care anymore. So yeah, it's all fine.
Yeah, if you guys are listening to this just as a podcast, you're missing out on the piles of money right behind Matt.
Yeah. I like to exfoliate with $100 bills.
So have you seen like any other larger brands maybe like borrow like some kooky idea that you've come up with and start to see it in production?
Oh yeah, I think I have,
Yeah.
but it could just be coincidental. Um, it could just be the 30 voices of paranoia in my head. I don't know. So I won't go into it too much because I'll
Yeah.
sound too much like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. It is one of those things where you never really know. You don't know if like they're actually watching and they're incorporating that, or it's just something in the larger zeitgeist, and people are just coming to the
Yeah,
same conclusion about okay, this is the right bike for the right time or something.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, and everyone does it. Like I've, if Surly didn't bring out that 26 by 3 inch tire, Crust wouldn't exist. So yeah, we're all taking certain facets from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do it more blatantly than others,
Right.
and seem to have ethics about it. But that's the business world we live in.
Yeah.
It is a capitalistic society. We just want to feed off it. You don't get to stop it.
Yeah. So you've been in business for as Crest for 3 years. Is it now that you're in the thick of it? Is it different from how you imagined it would be from the beginning?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I figured I'd like be making doing a well. Originally, I thought I'd do. I didn't even know if I'd get to like a full run of evasions when I first started. But then when it went to a full run, I was like, all right, this is pretty sweet. I'm just going to do one run of evasions a year, and they'll sell out in however X amount of time, and then I'll travel the rest. Um, and it hasn't been like that since I started Crust. I basically don't travel. So it didn't work out as planned. But I still live in hope.
Yeah. One day.
Yeah. One day, I'll have minions doing my dirty work.
So why did you branch out beyond the evasion?
Uh, I'm not sure, to be honest. I guess because of the lead times from when you have an idea from your head and it's all down on paper, and then it's finally at production, the production run arrives. That's like a minimum 1 year time. So in that span of 1 year, like my mind is just still running like crazy. Like any bike nerd, you're like, oh, this would be sweet, and it just keeps running and running, and then you're bored basically. So next thing you know, you've got like 6 frames coming and the bottom and all these other parts, and yeah, it just snowballed. And then by that stage, it was too late. Like I was in too deep. So I just had to keep doing it to try and get myself out of the hole, but it doesn't seem to work like that. I just keep going deep in the hole. Yeah. So yeah. So I guess boredom was the answer.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about like production timelines. So from your initial conception of a bike to the bike landing, in your hands, that's a year.
Best case scenario. It depends on how many samples you have to go through as well to get it right. And then sometimes I've done a lot of products that haven't seen the light of day. So because I can't get it to the standard that I want, and you kind of need to know when to pull the pin and just go into like a place where it's just like the handlebars. They're a prime example. Like I poured so much money in these, and I still don't have them. It's like, that's been over 2 years, I think. So you'd think a handlebar would be pretty straightforward, but it's got its every product has its glitches. If you're trying to do something out of the norm, then it's going to be a headache basically. So and I feel like most products I do are out of the norm, so everything's been a headache. Yeah, it's just now I understand why. Like I used to, be the person that walked into the bike shop or would look online all the time and be like, wonder why they did it like that. That's so dumb. Why didn't they do it like this? And now I know, because all those little things I used to say, why did they do it like this? It's just like absolute headache and costs a fortune too. So yeah, it's crazy. Like just the smallest adjustments can really add up to like the the retail price of a frame. So
Can you
if you're trying,
can you give an example of like what like a small change that?
um, like anything, if you do a chain stay a certain way and then you realize you don't want it that way, you've got to repay for all the tooling, and then there's all the expenses of like you getting the samples out here. So all those samples are basically useless at that point, and then you've got the delay in time as well. And as you know, Russ, time is money, money's time. Like, we got to get those units to move.
Right.
So yeah, it's just everything, and then certain things cost more, certain things cost less, but it's been interesting. Like getting your own like like lugs or something made. I've just got fork crowns made now, and that was quite expensive. I didn't realize how expensive that was. Like, if you look at a Rivendell and all their lugs are their own lugs, it's an insane amount of money. Like, you hear people bitching about the cost of a Rivendell, you're like, the amount of money they spent on lugs is like mind-boggling. So you're like, this is why the frame costs this much, because they didn't compromise what they wanted. So you can see like certain companies that just get stuff like out of the open source brochure. That's why it costs that much money. And compared to other companies like Rivendell who are like forging all their own lugs, it's like, yeah, it's night and day, the cost difference.
So has like, I imagine like getting in the actual bike production business, it's probably completely changed your perspective of how you look at bikes.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Yeah. I still appreciate like most bikes. I guess I wouldn't say I'm more cynical or less cynical. I just see it in different eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like you have a certain amount of knowledge that like the armchair like bike designer probably doesn't have into like production costs and why a company would do something that way.
I definitely wouldn't claim to know more about bike design than a lot of the armchair, like, but I probably know a little bit more about the headaches involved in doing certain things. Yeah, until you've done that firsthand, I guess how would you know?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about these handlebars that keep coming up. Why are they being so difficult to produce?
Hang on a sec. I just need to grab a few Valium and wash them down, because it's a tough subject to bring up. If I start crying, I apologize. It's just because they're so wide. So to get them at a reasonable weight and have the butting in the right spot and have them pass testing, it's not a thing that's been done before on a drop bar. So it's just an unknown entity, I guess. So, and then Crust being what it is, I don't have like engineers with, NASA experience to do computer modulated stress testing. I just have to get a handlebar made and then test it the old fashioned way. Mm-hmm. So that's probably a main reason as well. If it was a bigger company and they've got a room full of engineers or something, well, I guess no bike company's got a room full of engineers, but a engineer it would be a lot easier.
Right.
I'm just the old fashioned way of kind of guessing.
Yeah. So when you when you design something that's like so out of the box, like the handlebars or some of your frames, do the people that are making them and testing them just go, "What the hell is this?" Or are they pretty amenable to your requests?
Yeah, they will do it, but they definitely question what the hell I'm doing. They're like, "What is?" They sent the drawing back initially. They were like, "Is this right? Like, these are so wide." So yeah, it's not. It's definitely. I definitely get questioned a lot when I'm in Taiwan. But yeah, that's good. That's when I know I'm on the right track.
Cool. So how wide how wide are the bars supposed to be? Like
666.
yeah.
Yeah, at, uh, at the hoods. They're a bit wider at the flared.
Or oh, that's the length at the hood. So what's the overall length like once you include the flares?
Oh, a couple of meters. Yeah.
At least.
You need to get arm extensions. No, they're gonna be in three different sizes, the new version. So you go the ultra poppy wide, or you can go the mere mortal widths as well.
Yeah.
Which I prefer. I personally, well, I'm tiny, so like I don't like Poppy's handlebar at the width that he runs. But then Troy, a friend of his, a fellow nutmegger, he runs that really wide handlebar, and he's the same size as me. So I guess it's just personal taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like a wide handlebar, like a wider drop bar. I run a wider drop bar that exists on the market at the moment, aside from like the Crust prototyping ones, and it's super comfortable even for someone as small as me.
So that's one interesting thing is like another thing that kind of caught my eye about your frames is because you are like a shorter rider. Like I ride small frames too. Like your bikes use kind of like the full array of wheel sizes to kind of match the height of the rider.
Yeah. So I just came out with one, the Chicho, which is named after my wife, because she's 4'10". So we did a 24-inch touring bike.
Wow.
It can run 24 plus, or it can run a 26-inch tire, and it's so sweet. I actually want to get one myself, just so I can have a huge triangle. But it looks perfectly proportioned. So, and it allows you to, by running that smaller wheel, you can run a Swift Zeitgeist bag. Is not gonna. You still have to run a support for it, but you can actually use it. Where if you're 4'10" or even 5'2" and you're trying to run a Swift Zeitgeist bag on a 700C bike, you don't have a chance, basically.
Yeah.
Whether you have a rack or not, it's just not possible. So, yeah. And then I like a more traditional looking triangle with not too much sloping top tube and stuff. So, when you're shorter, you can't get that. So by just putting a smaller wheel on, you get all that frame triangle. If you want to run a frame bag, you can fit more than a Cliff Bar in it, and, and your bike still looks like a normal bike.
Yeah.
You can put luggage on it. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So the 24-inch bikes were US-made ones. Only did 4 of them, and they all sold out. Like, I didn't even really list them. They sold out before I listed them, really.
Oh, wow.
So I guess there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
So the bigger companies that are listening, there's the hot tip. Go and build some 24 touring bikes and make them look normal instead of like a bag of shit. It's definitely like, especially now with the modern way of like bike touring, how we're not many people are running like the 4 panniers anymore. Mm-hmm. It's really pretty crucial to get those saddlebag and handlebar baggers as much capacity as you can. So yeah, it definitely makes sense to go the smaller wheel size, and hopefully there's like a bunch of 24-inch tires on the market at the moment, which are pretty good, but it'd be good for it to get a bit of momentum and have a few more options.
So how long do you think you'll do Crust for? I mean, when...
I don't know. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, this is it. I'm shutting it down.
Get your frames now.
Any way you can. No, it's
I guess a better question would be like, what keeps you going? Like when you have those moments where like, what did I do?
I don't know. It is fun. Like, it is fun for sure. If I could travel and run Crust just remotely from the computer, then it would be ideal. And that's really what I'm working towards, just be able to afford to pay someone to do my shipping, and maybe answer a phone or something. So that would be the dream. But at the moment, I can't even afford to pay myself. So that's probably a ways down the line. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just, I love bikes. I guess that's what makes it easy, because it's like if I wasn't doing it, I'd still just be online looking at bikes anyway. So it's like, what? I might as well just do it, you know?
Yeah. You'd still be online saying they're doing it wrong. Why don't they do it this way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like aside from like the stress of like all the financial stuff, it's quite enjoyable. Uh, yeah, if you took the finances out of it, like most things, like money brings the worst out in everyone. So if I could take that out of it, it'd really be fun. But obviously you can't take that out of it unless Zuckerberg wants to chuck me a couple of million or something.
There you
Yeah. I should have bought Bitcoin when I had the chance.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good job. It's fun.
Yeah. So you've had some interesting collaborations. How does it usually work out? Does a person come to you with their bike design and you refine it, or how does that process work?
Yeah, so for the Scapegoat and the Romancer, I really didn't put any restriction on those whatsoever. Like now with the Romancer, I suggest things just to Poppy about slight changes, not angles or anything, just different like dropouts or whatever. And he either says yes or no. If he said no, then I'll just stop making the bike. If it's not something he wants completely, then there's no point
Right.
like, having him attached to it, in my opinion.
Right.
Like if it's I'm really pretty opinionated about that sort of thing. If I guess it comes like from I used to ride BMX a lot, and in the 90s it was like like my friend's company, Terrible One. I kind of like reference his company a lot in my own mind about how a company should be. And he's had Terrible One for I don't know how long, 20 years or something. He still works another job. Like it's not anything like if it's ever going to make him money, he just does it out of passion. And he's like very moralistic. Like everyone that rides a Terrible One rides one because that's what they want. Like they wouldn't go out and buy another bike. And they had like his riders had the opportunity to be sponsored and make a lot of money from other companies, and they said no and stayed with him.
Right.
And that's kind of unheard of in big bikes. Like everyone in big bikes just sold to the highest bidder. Like no one gives a shit. So I'm like, which is fine if you want to make like it's fine. I understand why you would do that, but then I personally wouldn't. And I've been in a position where companies have offered me stuff, and I've said no because it's not something I would pay for with my own money. And I feel if you're like going to promote and support a company and like help them grow, unless you'd go out and buy it at full price, you shouldn't be doing that because it's basically a lie. So I don't know how I even got on this tangent.
So do you feel like have you been able to build the bikes that you truly want to ride? Like have you reached that platonic ideal of a bike that you're striving for?
Yeah. Every single bike that has come from Crust I'm so psyched on. Even if it's like not for me, but like the Scapegoat, I was like, this bike's pretty weird, goat. Like, geez, man. And it's like it's a full fat or 27 plus or 29 plus or whatever you want to run it. It basically fits anything. And that's personally not a bike I would ride because it's the tires. I think they're too big for me. But I did do a short tour on one, and it was so good. So yeah, I would ride this actually. Aesthetically, it's not like 100% the aesthetics I like. So that for me, aesthetics is a huge thing with a bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the same with the Romancer. I was like, this is a pretty kooky bike, but I really like it. And I love it aesthetically. It's like so nice. And then I've just come out with a new bike, the Lightning Bolt, which is basically a straight randonneur bike. Fillet braze, and it looks beautiful. And that's kind of like another bike that I dreamed up. And yeah, it's just nothing like it existed in the production market, and I think people would like want it. So I got it made. You know, it's just like everything I've done. There's been not any compromise on like what I see or what whoever signature bike it is sees, and I think that's something to be proud of.
Right.
At least like, because my mindset is if I get stuck with them and they don't sell, at least whoever's bike it is could have 100 of them.
Lifetime supply.
Yeah, if I got stuck with all the small invasions, I wouldn't care, you know, because I want to ride it still, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, let's say some big brand calls you up and like, Matt, we're going to buy Crust from you. Here's $1 million or whatever. Where would the first place be that you would go to tour? Do you have a list that's been growing in your head while you've been growing the business?
Oh yeah, I really want to go to Sri Lanka. It would basically just be like riding trips again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd go back to Baja and do that again, even though doing Baja with a bicycle and surfboard kind of sucks. I'd go and do it again for sure. I don't know if they gave me that money, I'd call up friends and be like, "Where you want to go?"
So there's been like a big explosion in off-road touring the last couple of years. Do you have any sense of where it might go?
I don't know. I'm just stuck in an office all the time. I don't know. I guess it's going to go off-road. Sounds like it already has. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully people just keep having fun and see like the enjoyment of disconnecting from screens for a little bit. Like, it's my anxiety levels of sitting on a screen 12 hours a day. It's insane how anxious I am now.
Yeah. Getting
outside and disconnecting from all the crap that we choose to ingest is pretty important. It's beyond important. There's a reason why mental health is through the roof, and I think like not connecting with nature is the main cause of that. So hopefully, like, people don't get too caught up in trying to film every trip and take photos of everything and just enjoy it for what it is and just ride and have fun.
Right. There is kind of a cruel irony with the Instagram sometimes, where you go on the trip to generally escape, but then there's a compulsion to share it, either because it's part of your business, or it's just something that you authentically have an interest in. But it's this weird kind of wrestling match in the head.
Yeah, I think it's just, I guess, trying to find a balance. Like that's pretty much Poppy's business, and he's a good one for an example. I'd say, like, he takes photos and gets all the nice photos, but it doesn't seem to consume the trip for him, you know. Obviously he's like pretty much constantly on the road and in a better mental place than a lot of people. So it's not like, for him, it's not like a full on break, because it's kind of his life. But the way he manages to juggle everything is pretty impressive. Yeah, I think you can still go and obviously take your photos and make little videos and have fun, but it shouldn't be like the be all end all of the trip.
Right.
Just being in the moment with your friends or by yourself.
Right.
And on your bike, like in nature, is the most important thing, I think. If we're not doing that, then what's the fucking point?
Right.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a bike. Like for me, like, my mind is just non-stop, you know, and like just that motion of pedaling is like the simplest form of meditation. Like, I can't sit and cross my legs and breathe deeply for half an hour, and I'd last like 1 minute. But like, not even, my mind would be racing in 2 seconds. But if I'm on the bike, it eventually, like, it stills the mind. Like when you're on tour, you'll have those. It takes like, for me, it takes like 4 to 5 days of that transition to settle into the pace of the tour. And once you've transitioned into that pace, it's like, it's very freeing and very relaxing. Yeah. So hopefully people see that.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think this is an awesome note to end on. Thanks again for joining us. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you have suggestions for future guests, leave those in the comments below. And if you have questions for Matt and Crust, leave those in the comments below. I'll get him to answer them, hopefully. And
I'll do my best.
And thanks again, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you.
Cool. Let me hit stop here.